and we're going to jump right into it. So first, I kind of wanted to just give a little context. Americorps as a program has been around for a really long time, but there always seems to be a little bit of confusion about it. It's less known than maybe its sister program, which is the Peace Corps. People have heard about Peace Corps, but they're actually sister programs. And so, the one way to think about Americorps is the domestic version of the Peace Corps, and we'll talk more about that. But just to set a little bit of context or get us in the spirit of talking about AmeriCorps and all the great things that it can offer, I'm actually to switch my screen share really quickly and show a quick video. If I can find the window that it's in. Can you guys see this YouTube video? Excellent. All right, we're going to watch this really quickly and then we'll dive in. Can you hear that?
I'm in college.
I am retired.
I just want to help.
Something was missing from my life.
I wanted to get more involved with the people in my community, but I didn't know how to get started.
One day, my neighbor told me about United Way of the Piedmont.
My professor told me about Americorps.
My friends showed me the way to get started.
The people at United Way of the Piedmont got me involved in the Americorps program. The application process was super easy, and they paired me with a fantastic local organization that is making a real impact.
To help combat homelessness issues, to help people with their taxes, to help others get the assistance they need to live a better life.
But the benefits do not stop there. Through my service, I get valuable real-world job training.
An expanded network of like-minded individuals, experience working in a nonprofit organization, new relationships that can last a lifetime, and a stipend to help with my own day-to-day living.
I get the satisfaction of knowing that I help others help themselves. Through my involvement with AmeriCorps and United Way of the Piedmont, I see how I can have a positive impact. And I am doing exactly that.
We are doing exactly that. With Americorps and United Way of the Piedmont,
We are the greater good.
All right, so we created that video last year, and it's such a great one. So I always love to take any opportunity to share it. And it highlighted a few of the things that we're going to talk about. So benefits to service, real world experience. So I think it's a good kicking off place. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dana to sort of talk about what a year of service is.
Great. So just for you all to have a general idea of how the flow is going to go, we're going to kind of talk about it in a higher level of what Americorps is, and then we'll bring it back down to our community, our organization, and how we structure it here at United Way and in our counties. So big picture, a service year, it is a paid opportunity to develop some of those real world skills through hands-on service. It allows for you to not only shape your future, but also the future of our community for years to come. So like Alex shared before, some examples that you may have heard of include Americorps, of course, maybe Peace Corps, Teach for America, City Year, all of those are different service year programs. And what they are intended to do is, of course, make a difference. So really playing a vital role in some of our nation's most pressing challenges. Again, our program specifically is located in the Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union County footprints. So through that, we really stress how we can advance some of those local solutions. So members immerse themselves in projects that respond to community needs by serving hand in hand with some of our partner organizations to improve the lives of people and creating change that lasts. And then, just from the member experience, making sure that you are aware that this is a really transformative experience. So while we are developing those real world skills that employers want, you can also earn money for college Again, all while making impact on your community. So Americorps specifically is, again, we'll talk about the direct versus indirect in just a bit, but Americorps overall, the umbrella branch of it, serves directly with some of our partner organizations to, again, tackle some of our community challenges. So it's an opportunity for folks of all ages, so it's not just for college students, as is a popular myth, to give their time and their talent to get things done. So no matter what you're passionate about, where you're from, why you choose to serve, AmeriCorps is really a chance to get your hands in the weeds. Each year across the country, AmeriCorps has roughly 75,000 folks who serve with them, and really joins a network of over 1 million civic-minded leaders. So that's different alumni. Your Americorps experience, so there's plenty of opportunities to serve, each with different time commitments, different requirements, and again, just making that lasting impact in the community that you serve. So plenty of options depending on what your schedule may look like. So the state and national, that is used in conjunction with the direct service model that we will continue to talk about for the rest of the afternoon. The Americorps State and National Network is the hands-on direct service component of Americorps. So we see service as a solution to local challenges. And by putting yourself in an environment that propels your personal development, it opens up diverse career paths, and it really does promote that lifelong civic engagement. Our particular program here at United Way of the Piedmont, like Heather shared earlier, all of our direct service members, we refer to them as financial stability coordinators, financial stability navigators. And our program allows for you to serve as a resource coordinator, connecting individuals to resources like affordable housing, conducting outreach for some of that workforce development training opportunities, and really just helping folks as they are on their path to financial self-sufficiency.
So, I mean, I can jump in just to sort of talk about the umbrella that Dana already mentioned. And I think like Americorps itself, again, I talked about the confusion a little bit. There's been some rebranding, even like they have a new logo and a new look and things. And so there's just been a little bit of confusion in the community about like, what the heck is Americorps? And, you know, again, at United Way, we have 2 distinct programs. So there's the overarching Americorps national, it is a national program. There are Americorps programs all across the country. That is the big umbrella. But then here at United Way of the Piedmont in Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union counties, our local programs, there are 2. We have Americorps Direct Service, which is what Dana was talking about. We also call them financial stability navigators because that's really their focus, is that financial stability track. And then we have Americorps Vista, which Vista stands for Volunteer in Service to America. I think that they like a lot of acronyms and it just adds to the confusion, but that's why we're here today, to hopefully break it down for you a little bit better.
Just to kind of share how the process works, if you are interested in an Americorps experience, this is the general process flow, and we'll go into it a little bit deeper in just a bit as well. But essentially, step 1 is just considering what your time commitment could be. So you can serve up to a year. In our programs, we have options with as little of a time commitment as 300 hours, all the way up to a full-time 37 to 40 hour a week commitment throughout the service year. So it all depends on what your schedule may look like, what it would allow for, opportunities for flexibility there. From there, you'll choose the location that you're interested in. So, you know, of course, our community, I'm going to keep stressing it, we're serving Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union, so maybe thinking about where you are geographically, what kinds of organizations would spark your passion. Really just when we get to the part of how you can look at all of our opportunities, take that time to consider what your strengths may be, what your interests may be, and align that with the organizations that are recruiting currently. So then you'll match with an organization. So you'll go through the interview process, and then the end result is you being hosted at the organization that you would like to be hosted at, with, again, that end goal of making an impact in our local community while still gaining that professional edge. So gaining those professional skills to make sure that you are creating an effective experience for yourself and for our community, all the while earning an award, an education award, to help with your educational expenses, and maybe discovering a new career field. So here are some of the benefits during and after service. So all of our positions, no matter if it's that 300 part-time, part-time, or the full 40, 37-hour a week full-time option, you will receive a modest living allowance to cover some of those basic expenses during your service term. Upon successful completion of service, you would also be eligible to receive that Americorps Education Award. So that can be used to pay for expenses like student loans. If you're going back to school, it can be used to pay for some of those future tuition payments. And you can earn up to 2 full education awards if you would like to serve multiple years. Additionally, while you're serving, you would be eligible to put your loans in forbearance. So your student loans, you would not have to worry about paying those. In addition, the interest payments that accrue during your service term, it could be eligible for a payment through Americorps. You'd also get some professional development experience. So that's one thing that I can speak to for our program in particular. We really, really value that professional development for our members. We think that is a very valuable opportunity for our members. So while, of course, you'll be getting those skills during your service term, we also do host regular professional development events. And then once you're done, you'll be able to join an alumni network, receiving access to special benefits and resources. So again, there are some colleges and universities that may match your education award and offer additional Americorps scholarships. So there's a website link on that slide that you can learn more about the benefits there, but quite a few benefits for serving.
And I just want to add a quick note on that, these benefits are for both programs through United Way of the Piedmont, again, direct service and Vista, which we're about to dive into. But the living allowance, and I believe the end of service award, does vary depending on the program that you're in. So that's one of those things where you'd want to, think about which one you want to do and then go find out those specific details. But and then one thing that Dana didn't mention but is on here is the shopping benefits at our Gifts in Kind Center. And I just like to highlight that because, earlier I mentioned there are Americorps programs all across the country. Not every Americorps program has these benefits, and that Gifts in Kind Center is certainly one of the things that is unique to United Way of the Piedmont's program. So it's a really awesome facility that we're very fortunate to have in our community and then be able to offer the benefits through this program. So I just always like to highlight that.
Thanks, Alex, for mentioning that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So Americorps members successfully completing their term of service. This is pulled directly from the Americorps website. So there is increased employability, and I can speak to that personally. Again, I served as a Vista here at United Way of the Piedmont, or through United Way of the Piedmont's program. And now I'm fortunate enough to actually be employed here. So it does provide a list of some of those marketable, transferable skills. And members, our program does prepare members for success in the workplace. So we love to be used as letters of reference. We love to be used as, that brand recognition. I think our community is, at this point, pretty familiar with Americorps in a general sense, at least. So when you mention that you served as an Americorps member with United Way of the Piedmont, there is a little light that goes off for some of our employers, that recognition. So in addition to that, of course, again, you would be eligible for that education award as well to help pay for college or repay some of those qualified student loans.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback on that and share, Dana mentioned her personal story, so I thought I would share mine a little bit as well. And this is something that I didn't know about when I joined Americorps. I graduated from college and wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do, but I did know that I wasn't ready to make the grad school commitment, nor the more student loan commitment. And so that's actually kind of, I found Americorps and I was like, well, it's a 1 year, I'll be able to get some experience and then I can go to grad school and figure out the next step from there. But what I didn't know is that really Americorps was going to open the door to my future career in nonprofit. And I didn't know that even, in fact, some folks actually use Americorps as that stepping stone, as that foot in the door into the nonprofit industry and to kind of get that experience, because you do get so much experience in a variety of different things. And I could talk about this forever, but I'll keep it short. And your year of service really is what you make it. And I think that's a great thing about our program at United Way. And going back to the professional development and trainings and things that you have access to that Dana mentioned, it might seem like I'll use it like just a year of service, but the doors that it opens is really, you never know the possibilities. And just to wrap up my story, I never did go to grad school because I had so many doors opened to me that I just hit the path, my career path out the gate and basically never looked back. So I just like to share that that this part about improving employment opportunity is really just so valid and true.
Thanks, Alex, for sharing that.
Yeah.
So now to shift gears just a little bit, now I'm going to make it talk more about our program specifically. So our focus, the direct service component of Americorps, our focus is really around economic opportunity. So some of our members do things such as job training or education programs, connecting folks in our community with resources such as that. Some folks need help maybe just connecting the community resources that are available, like food or maybe some rental assistance. So through that, Americorps members do and have provided thousands of dollars in assistance and in-kind resources to expand the reach to our community members who need it. And lastly, our focus for the direct service program are all of our members are certified, IRS certified, to help prepare taxes during tax season. So you get plenty of training with that. Don't feel like if you don't know how to do it, that it's something big and scary. You get plenty of help with that. And as a result, they help return millions of dollars to our community by assisting with that free tax preparation. So super invaluable. And then again, just to kind of drive the point home, these are some of the service projects that our members are expected to do, or yeah, I like that word. So again, assisting with that tax preparation, something near and dear to my heart. In addition to Americorps, I also help facilitate that program. So maybe I'm biased, but I think it is a great treasure in our community. They also do things like help folks obtain some of that safe and affordable housing that they may be in need of, connecting community members with some of those much needed resources, again, maybe some utility assistance or some of those safety net needs, just to help bridge the gap. And additionally, they are all trained to assist households to apply for some of those state and federal benefits that they may qualify for, whether that's SNAP, Medicaid, things like that. So in order to apply, this will be pretty similar for both programs. So our website that will directly give you more information to both of our programs is right there. So it's uwpiedmont.org/year of service. So I encourage you, of course, to visit that website. Once you're there, go ahead and research and make notes of some of those listings that interest you. So what are some of those organizations that speak to your passions, to your interests, to your strengths? Make note of those and complete the application for the program that you're interested in, whether that's the direct service role or the VISTA role. And then after that, the initial interview will happen with the program director. And then after that, the organization that you're interested in will follow up with another interview. And that's really just to make sure that you can ask some of those site-specific questions. So the interview and the hiring process, it may vary depending on the service opportunity. So some organizations have the capacity to make it be really, really quick for you. And some of them just need a little bit more time. But for the most part, it is a pretty quick turnaround, and the application doesn't take any more than maybe an hour or so. You'll find the deadlines for when you should apply on each of those listings. So when you go to that website, that Americorps website, you'll be able to find all of that information there. And it'll include information, like contact, basic info, reason why you're interested, things like that. But throughout any of this, you're welcome to reach out to myself or anybody that will send in a follow-up email who may have some more knowledge on how to submit that application.
Okay, so VISTA, and again, this is, Dana's been talking about direct service, so now we're switching gears again to talk about the VISTA program. So Americorps VISTA is a capacity building role. So it's a little bit more behind the scenes as opposed to that direct service where you're really working with clients that Dana described, but you are still housed at different nonprofits in the community, really helping them accomplish their mission. So Americorps VISTA, members can do a variety of things as that sort of behind the scenes role. So recruiting volunteers to projects, helping raise funds for the organization, or helping their organization just in general grow sustainably. And having been in nonprofit for my entire career and having been a VISTA, I always say that VISTA are the gap fillers, or they are the ones who are able to do the things that the nonprofit staff wish we had the time to do. Because at nonprofits, if you're not familiar, this is a very common phrase, we all wear a lot of hats. At the end of the day, we are a small but mighty team usually. And so Americorps VISTA are really those extra hands and minds too, to help us accomplish the work in the best possible way. And that can look, like I said, a lot of different things. So some things that you could do as a VISTA, and again, this is a little bit different from the direct service, is, grant writing. So if that's something that you have interest in or, want to know more about, marketing. So that brand experience, formerly known as marketing, that's my department. And so we have a phenomenal marketing VISTA. And that's a really unique position because you are like doing everything marketing that you can imagine, from press releases to social media management, website management. So again, I said it earlier, but you really can get experience in a lot of different things. And another example would be program development. So a lot of research and to sort of figure out what is that next program that's really going to meet the need in the community. We're always in nonprofit trying to evolve because the issues in our community are always changing and evolving. So helping with program development and research, things like that. Data management, part of what is so important in tracking, whether it's marketing or grant writing, is dollars coming in on the grant writing side, or the performance of those marketing efforts, or if it's program development. Tracking the data associated with those things takes a lot of time and skill as well to make sure that we're not just doing, but we're also, again, assessing what we're doing and making sure that it's meeting the need in the community. So that data management side. And then I mentioned, sustainability. And part of that is, making sure that what you're doing to help that organization as a Vista is sustainable. Meaning, because it's a 1 year term of service, right? So, you're there for 1 year, some people do multiple years, but typically you're there for a 1 year of service. And so we want to make sure that the work you accomplish in that year is able to be sustained over time. So that can look a lot of different ways, but, documenting what you do, whether it's, processes, procedures, helping develop policies, again, to make sure that the organization is performing at its highest level, and that it will continue to do so even after that Vista position or you have left. So that's a little bit about Vista and kind of what it can look like. So the application process for Vista, as Dana mentioned, it's very similar. It all starts and ends with our website. I really just can't stress enough. That's where you go, because from that link that's listed there, you will be taken to either the direct service or the Vista program sites that have so much more information. Of course, we're trying to hit the high notes today, but that's really, like I said, starts and stops right there. So you go to the website, again, doing some research. Hopefully this information session is helping make that determination of which program you feel like you would have that leaning towards. And then each program, of course, has different organizations. So as we've mentioned, Americorps and Vista both, we have over 30 between both programs. Those are not all at United Way. They are out at organizations in the community. And so, finding that right match. So if you go in and you're like, oh, well, I'm not really sure which would be the best match, that's okay. That's why we've got our team to sort of help you make that connection with what would meet your interests. But if you do see an organization like, oh, I love their mission, I love what they do, that's the one for me, then you can go in and directly apply to that position. So, and then completing that application for that program that you have identified you're interested in. And then in Vista, it is a little bit different. You interview with just different folks. So we have our Vista leaders who do a phenomenal job really in that matching process of assessing the applicant and what their interests are, and then the needs of the organization that has the position and making that match. So, and then you typically have a second interview with the organization. So it's a little bit, first round, second round is a little bit of a process, but it goes pretty smoothly because our organizations, at least I can speak for myself as someone who is currently recruiting for a Vista position. I'm always super excited when I see that application, and always very eager to get that interview on the calendar. So it really does go pretty smoothly and pretty quickly. So that's kind of the hiring or the interview and hiring process. And I did think of one thing that I wanted to mention, and Dana, I'll have you chime in on direct service as well, which is, okay, that's the process, but what is the actual start date for the programs that we're talking about, that we are recruiting for right now? So for Vista, once we get through those interviews and people are continuing to apply as we speak, hopefully, I think there's flexibility in the start date, but right now, the first week of August is that start date for Vista. So Dana, I didn't know if you wanted to speak to direct service.
Yeah, so our direct service program, we have 4 different types of opportunities. 3 of them start the same date. So that is August 16th. So we recruit for as long of time as possible. And then our shortest service term, that 300-hour service, that position doesn't start until December. And it is for 300 hours just during tax season is the focus of that particular opportunity. But the others, they all start August 16th.
Awesome. Great. So hopefully we've covered, a little bit of the difference between the two programs, and I would love to open it up for questions. I will check the chat as well as our Q&A. Oh, I didn't mean to click that, but there's that again. The link. Trying to find my chat. There we go. It didn't pop up. So yeah, does anybody have any questions? I definitely wanted to make sure we had time for questions, but otherwise I can make some stuff up. I see one question coming through. There. Great question. I think this is a good topic. So Mike asked in the chat about if there's an age limit to apply. And as far as I know, there is not. Dana, I don't know about your program.
So the minimum age requirement for our program is 18, but there is no maximum. There's no age maximum in our program.
Yeah, that's an important distinction. I think like age, yeah, there's a minimum, but there's no maximum. And I think this is a great question just because Dana sort of mentioned it earlier that there's kind of this like myth that it's only for college students, but that's totally like not the case. As I was talking about earlier, that people sometimes use it as an opportunity to gain experience in nonprofit or a foot in the door. We've seen folks who just wanted to make a shift in their career and, wanted to try to, kind of break into the nonprofit world, but didn't necessarily have a ton of experience. And so this was a great way for them to get that experience. I think, and Dana, you can speak to this maybe a little bit more, but also with direct service, folks who wanted to have that direct kind of case management or like there's a word I'm trying to think of, but I can't right now, but that wanted to get experience in that direct service. And they used Americorps as kind of that way to get social services, to like get into social services. And Americorps was a pathway for them to do that.
Yeah, that was a great description, Alex.
Yeah. Okay, so we got some questions coming in. Thank you guys. So any education requirements, or does each position have different requirements? So Dana, you want to go first?
Yeah, so for the direct service program, our education requirement is you must have at least a high school or GED education. And if you don't, then you have to be working towards it while you're serving. So we don't require a college degree, but we do require those two stipulations.
And it's been a while since I actually managed a Vista program, so I think it might have changed. There was a time when Vista required a bachelor or some sort of college degree, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Dana, do you know?
I don't know, but I don't think so either.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's changed. It used to be, but it is that more behind the scenes, like I don't know how role, but there, as far as I know, there are no minimum education requirements other than that high school GED or diploma as well. Same for Americorps. Another question that we got was, are there times when you will get to work with other VISTA or direct service members? Which is a great question. I'll start with the Vista community projects. So something that we have done in past, and this year with COVID, it was a little bit different and crazy, but the Vistas get together again, and in this past year it was different. It was getting together virtually, but they would get together and have weekly meetings just to go over, things relative, relevant to the program. But in addition to kind of that cohort of vistas that you join, and that networking that you get with your fellow vistas, there's also a community project aspect that we are bringing back this year, with COVID hopefully dying down, and and vaccinations and everything, and that has been really amazing in past. So it's really a choose your own adventure is the only thing that I can come. But we have, community projects that are driven by the vistas. And so and it's typically a small group of vistas, 3 to 4 or more, who work together on a community challenge. So we've had things, we've had a marketing community project that I was involved in my current role, not when I was a Vista, but I met with them to talk about nonprofit marketing and how they could support their nonprofits better with marketing, those kinds of things. We've also had community projects around specific community issues like homelessness. And that's one of the great success stories, is that group of vistas that worked on that community project actually developed a program that was then implemented by a local nonprofit and still happens today. So that there are a lot of opportunities for connection with your fellow Vista members. There's not quite as much, I feel like, between the direct service members and Vista members, just because the programs are so different. So like the training looks very different, but you certainly run into the same people in meetings and those kinds of things, just by being in the nonprofit community.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's also some opportunity for overlap. So some of our organizations do have both an Americorps direct service and a Vista at their sites. For the direct service, because the roles for that particular program are all more of a part-time scale, there are, I will say, less opportunities for regular networking between the members, or getting the opportunity during service hours, because we want to be mindful of the commitment that our members are have signed up for their sites. So we have, monthly professional development opportunities, and then during tax season, they'll typically see each other pretty frequently as well. But really the first 2 weeks of the direct service, I'm just speaking for that particular program, the direct service training and orientation, our members see each other day in, day out. They get to really develop those relationships early on. That way they can communicate with each other during the terms of their service, the rest of their service, when maybe there's a client that needs assistance. They can say, oh, hey, I know this member works at such and such agency and they provide this assistance. Why don't I just reach out to my fellow member? So there's a lot of opportunity that we try to be intentional about, but I will say the direct service, just because of the time restrictions, have a little less opportunity than the Vistas.
Yeah, that's a great point. Does anybody else have any questions? I think we've answered all of the ones I've seen come through so far. Again, if you have a question, feel free to drop it in either the Q&A feature that should be in the bottom bar of Zoom, or in the chat. But while I am waiting for any final questions to come in, I did want to take a second and just remind everybody that for registering for this today, you are all going to get a free t-shirt, and the way that we're going, yeah, and it's a very cool shirt. If you haven't seen it, I could grab it, but and it's just as a thank you for registering for today. And the best way to get that will be through Dana, and so we'll be coordinating pickup times, and again we'll include that info in our follow-up email to this event today. So be on the lookout for an email from Eventbrite so that you can get your free t-shirt. And I will give it just a couple more minutes to see if anybody else has any questions. The questions we've gotten so far have been really, really great. I appreciate y'all asking them. All right. Well, hopefully that means we answered everybody's questions and you guys are all going to go sign up and be Americorps members for us next year. I really appreciate y'all being here. Dana, do you have any other I think we might have gotten a question. Yeah, okay, one more question. Great, we've got some time, so we're going to answer it. If for some reason you don't obtain all the hours needed to fill your educational awards, what happens next? And Dana, I'm sure you probably have the most experience with this.
Yeah, so again, just speaking for, for the program that I manage, if I like to think we do a very good and intentional job on checking in with our members routinely. So making sure that it's at the forefront of our agency partners' minds, as well as that's one of my responsibilities as managing the program, is making sure that our members are on track. Now, if for some reason there is a circumstance that happens that is just out of the members' hands, maybe there's an illness in the family, or knock on wood with them, there are specific exits that a member could undergo to ensure that they would still get a prorated amount of that education award, so long as it is a circumstance that is truly out of their hands. So we're as eager as possible to make sure our members get that education award. That is a huge benefit. And so it is pretty much our responsibility to make sure that our members are on track. So we work pretty closely with the members to ensure that that happens. But worst case scenario, if a member is not able to get to their hours needed, then unfortunately they would, again, just for the direct service program, I'm not as familiar with the VISTA rule, then they would end up not receiving that educational award for that service term. But we try very, very hard to not make that happen.
Yeah, I think it's very similar for Vista, but I will say that the flexibility of these programs is really amazing, not just from the experience that you can get, but it's a year of service, and at least I think I could speak for Dana and I, having done years of service, we know what it takes to do it. And so, and anyone who runs these programs also does. And so we're always we try to be as accommodating as possible within, the professional framework, of course. So with that, it says, can you work at the nonprofit organization that you're already with? Sorry, we got another question. This is great. Joy, can you explain your question a little bit more? I want to make sure I answer what you're asking. While she's doing that, I will show you, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will show you the t-shirt. We saw, there was a question asking about this shirt. So it might be backwards, but it says dare to care, which kind of is our theme this year. It's actually from an Amanda Gorman poem that she did for United Way, where she talks about daring to care. And that's exactly what Americorps is about. It is caring for your community, giving back, and of course, facing the challenges along the way. So dare to care. I thought we thought it would be a great sort of theme for recruitment this year. All right, I'm trying to see if there is another question. Oh, good. Yeah, it's a great shirt. I love it. It's a dark blue and it's got the Americorps logo on the sleeve. So, I'm a North Side Voyager with NDG on the north side. Could I apply for that position? Was Joy's question. Dana, I think is NDG yours?
They're a direct service
Yeah.
site. Joy, if it's okay, would you mind connecting with me directly so we can talk more about that? There are some stipulations we have to be mindful of just due to the grant restrictions, but I would like to hear more about what your role entails and then see what kind of opportunities may present themselves.
Yeah. Great. Well, that was the last question that I saw. So and again, I appreciate those trickling in and being able to answer all your questions. So thank you guys so much. I will definitely be sending a follow-up email with information about both of the programs, where how to get to the website, all those good links, and how to get your shirt. So if there are no more questions, then we will wrap up a few minutes early. Who doesn't love a couple minutes back in their day? Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day.